Hello everyone, good morning. My name's Jene. Thank you for joining me today on Diamond Painting Reviews by Jene. Today's video I'm going to be going over choosing a color for your canvas border. Now this video is way overdue. It should have been posted a few weeks back, and Rob, I do apologize for the delay. So by saying that, let's jump into that video. Alrighty everyone, and now it's time to choose a color for this painting. So by saying that, what we want to do is we want to choose a color that is going to enhance the painting but not overshadow it. For me, I would choose a color that's going to brighten this up a little bit. This is a darker painting, so I'm thinking going more towards the darker gold or mustard yellow color. And that will not only enhance the painting, it's going to grab that person's eye and have their eyes go towards the painting and not just look at the outer corners. So we're going to go through my paints here, and I'm going to pick out the orange, the yellow, and I'm going to put a little bit of the red in there to give it a little bit of added warmth. Now this is going to be actually the first coat, excuse me, and I don't know exactly how much I want to mix in this and what proportion. So that's where you're going to have to start doing a little bit of experimenting to get that perfect color that you want to use around your painting. So again, I want it more of a mustardy warm color. So I'm going to put a little bit of yellow. I'm just going to do a small section here, so we're going to just put it in here. So we're going to put a little bit of yellow in there. A bit of orange. Oh, this hasn't been opened yet. A bit of orange. And I'm going to put just a little bit of this red in there to warm it up. There we go. So we're going to mix this up and see how this looks. Now if this looks good as a mixture, then I'm going to use this and hopefully get the proportions right. Let's see. Okay. It doesn't look too terribly bad. I'm going to put a little bit more yellow in that. It looks just a little too orangish. So I'm going to put a little bit more yellow in there. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So this is going to be my base color, and then once I get this on, I'm going to use another color to go over top of it. It'll give it more depth. So this is basically the color that I want to work with, and it's maybe it's a little too warm. I may have to put more yellow in there, but I'm going to continue to experiment. So by saying that, we're going to go ahead and speed up the camera. You guys don't really want to watch me experiment with the paint. And once I get ready and get the color that I want to use, then I'll be right back. All right, everyone, we're back, and I got the color that I want to put on my base here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to put it off to the side for now. And we're going to put down the paper towels so that we have something to have underneath your canvas while you're painting. Okay. There. And we're just going to scoot this underneath this. So that means you can be as messy as you want to be on your table. Okay, so canvas is, oops, sorry about that. Canvas is ready to go. So what you're going to need is a sponge brush. Now I like to work with sponge brushes. It gives a lot of depth and dimension to your paintings. So if you prefer to use a brush, that's great, but remember, you may see more of the schematics and the wording, even though it'll be faint, you may see it if you brush it on. But if you pat it on with a sponge brush, it really does do the trick. So we're going to just get rid of all that color that's on this brush here, because you don't want to be wasteful. And we'll put that off to the side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dabbing this. So I'm going to move this up so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to zoom the camera in again. And that way you can see exactly what I'm doing with this. There we go. So I'm just going to start just dabbing like this and get some of that color on there. There we go. Now this is also going to give it a little bit of texture to this painting when you dab it. It's almost kind of like the old, you know, the 1990s version of sponge painting. I don't know if some of you may or may not remember that, but back in the 90s, it was a big thing to sponge paint your walls. So this is kind of based on that, I guess you can say. You're just not using a seafoam brush. So there we go. Just gonna, if you see me pause, that is because I'm making sure my battery doesn't die. It's getting close, so I may have to stop and switch batteries. But because you've got that painter's tape on, see how close you can get to those drills, and you want to get to those edges. There you go. Okay. Now I'm not going to be overly generous with the color because I can't tell you exactly the amount I used. It may take me a while to get the color fairly close to what I'm using, and I don't want to use it all up and then have to mix up a whole bunch more and then find out it doesn't even match. So I'm going to be very careful about how much paint I use. Now always have 2 sponge brushes with you at all times because, as I said, when I was doing the primer, the sponge brushes do seem to absorb a lot, and when they get to the point where they're oversaturated, they're really hard to work with. It starts to pull your canvas up and it's just a real pain in the you know what. So it's always really good to have that second sponge brush with you just in case. I'm just going to spread out the paint a little bit on the sides now. Like I said, because you have that painter's tape on there, get as close to that edge as you could possibly get. One thing I love about my table is it's on wheels, so I will be moving it around. That way you don't have to move the paper towels and the painting So I will be moving my table in just a second once I get this side here done, and work on that base down there. All right, everyone, I'm back, and voila, look at that. Now, again, this is just the background color. I am going to put some gold in here, so that's going to kind of tone it down just a little bit. At least I'm thinking it will. We'll see. But as you can see, no lettering or wording through here. The schematics are completely covered, and the wording down here is also completely covered. You cannot see it. Now, if you were to lift this up and face it to the window, then you would be able to see the schematics kind of show through. But because this is going to be either behind glass or behind some form of like pressboard or a canvas of some sort, when you hang this up on the wall, you're not going to see it. And that is the whole purpose of doing this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use this metallic gold, and I'm going to just spread it around the area that we've already painted. So kind of shake it up a bit. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm hoping this works because this is the first time I've actually used this kind of orangish warm gold, or I don't know what color this would be classified, but it actually turned out pretty nice. I'm actually shocked. So we're just going to do the same thing that we did with the outline color to begin with and with the primer. We're just going to pat because we want to make it look more textured. We want to give it a little bit more dimension to that color. So my whole purpose of doing the gold now is just to kind of cool it down just a little bit, but give it more of that antique look to it. So again, just patting around and making sure you get as close to those drills. And you know, if you get it on the tape, you get it on the tape. It's not going to hurt the drills by any means. And then we're going to let this dry for approximately, well, I would say 12 hours. I wouldn't, gosh dang it, look at this, a hair. I'm surprised I'm not bald yet. I mean, I'm being honest, but anyway. But yeah, I would give it about 12 hours before drying. And let's say you're doing something similar to this and you're thinking, well, maybe I should do a second coat, or I want to add a little bit more or a different color to give it a little bit more depth. Give it 12 hours to dry. So just keep on going here. Now there's a couple of things that I'm going to bring up because somebody had brought it to my attention. In fact, that somebody is Rob. Rob, if you're watching, you know what? I didn't think about this until after I watched your video. But what I wanted to bring up, there was another thing about this painting that I think everybody needs to be aware of. And that is the way the house blends basically into the background of the painting. So I'm going to move this. And what I'm talking about is right in here, the house basically just blends in. There's no definition between the house and right here. And I think a lot of that has to do with the size of the painting. I could be spitballing on that one, but for me, I think it's because of the size of the painting and why there's not a lot of detail in the house part of it. So you might notice too in the front here, there's no window. The window is right here, and it looks like there's a possibility of a window right there. But again, I think a lot of that has to do with the size of this painting. I completely forgot about bringing that up when I was doing my final thoughts in my post review. I mean, honestly, you know, for something like this, if you wanted it more detailed, definitely would say if you could get it somewhere else, have it in a bigger size. But, you know, for the size of this painting, it looks pretty good for the size. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. And I'm repeating myself. I know. Yeah, Jene needs to go to the funny farm. Anyway, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Today is Monday, the 11th of May. And those of you that have been following me for a while, you all know that I am from Winnipeg, or better known as Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's freezing out here, man. It's like, when is somebody going to turn the heat on? I am so friggin' cold, it's not even funny. I had to sit on my hands because I was cold. Now, because of the coronavirus, I have been working from home. And yeah, I had to sit on my hands because my fingers were frozen. So I'm hoping the heat's going to come pretty soon. It's nice and sunny out, though, I have to say that much. But it's just too friggin' cold. Holy smokes. So anyway, I thought I'd, you know, entertain you with that little bit of tidbit there. I don't know if that's entertaining, but... So I hope everyone is doing well during this, you know, crazy period in our lives. I know for myself that, you know, I honestly am the type of person that I don't mind staying home and staying indoors and whatnot. I have no problems with that. But because it's been going on for so long, I feel like I'm climbing the walls. I do try to not go anywhere because I don't want to, I just don't want to get in contact with anyone that might possibly have the coronavirus. Winnipeg has been actually quite lucky. We've had very minimal cases. Although we have had some deaths, but we haven't had a lot of cases, which I really think that the reason for that is because we're so remote, or not remote, what is it, rural. Winnipeg is a fairly big sized city, but we're not surrounded by bigger cities. So we're, you know, I don't know if that makes any sense, but we're more, you know, farm country and stuff like that. So I think a lot of, I believe that is probably one of the reasons why we didn't get a lot of cases. And I mean, if we really stop and think about it, who's going to come to Winnipeg for a visit? I'm just having fun, guys. So don't, you know. Yeah, Jene can be I have a very sarcastic, dark sense of humor, so I do apologize. But yeah, I was thinking, you know, yeah, one of the reasons why Winnipeg probably doesn't have the cases is because, well, who's going to want to come out here? It's cold. And, well, now when you go outside in the backyard, you can actually see the trees are starting to wake up from their long winter nap. So that's a good sign. The Canadian geese have flown back into Winnipeg, and we're not looking forward to that. Yeah, I think they're a very beautiful bird, but they're messy and they're nasty. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to confront a Canadian geese, but let me tell you, don't do it. Don't. Don't do it because they bite and it hurts. So yeah, but they've been back for a while. I try to avoid them, especially when you're walking by and you don't even notice them, right? And you walk by and all of a sudden you hear this hissing going. You're like, what the heck? And there's this big goose just standing there, just eyeballing you, like, get away from me. And it's like, hey, buddy, I'm bigger than you. They don't care. They literally don't care if you're bigger than them. They will come after you, and yeah, it's quite, yeah. All right, I think we are done with the gold. It did cool it down quite a bit, so it's not as bright as it was. And I'm really happy with the way it looks. So I'm just going to bring this down so that you can get the entire painting there. So I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to let it dry. So like I said, 12 hours, let it dry. And then once it's dry. Again, hello everyone, and sorry to put in this insert. As I said, this video should have gone out a couple of weeks ago, and yes, it's definitely dry. I will be doing another video showing you the outcome of putting this canvas on stretch bars. Believe me, it was an odyssey. That is one of the reasons why I have not posted that particular video. So by saying that, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and end the video. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. So if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by giving it that thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the channel, a big howdy and welcome. If you like what you see and you like what you heard, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. If you do decide to subscribe, please don't forget to hit the bell that is right next door to that subscribe button. That way you'll be told when I've uploaded my next video. So again, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk real soon.